Have you seen the political advertisement of Barack Obama called "What's Up 2008"? In the ad, the friend talked to each other. "What's up?" "Nothing. Lost my home. Looking for a job." Even the United States is one of the most powerful countries, there are lots of poor people who suffer from poverty. And poverty causes despair. India's famous political leader Mahatma Gandhi said, "Poverty is the worst form of violence." Actually, I have volunteered for years to teach poor children and help disabled people. So whenever I go to there to volunteer, I couldn't know there are lots of people who need our help. How many people do you think are impoverished? About half of human population suffers from poverty. Yeah, it's really big figure. Before explaining this situation about poverty, we should know the terms about poverty. Actually, usually there are three terms: extreme poverty, and absolute poverty, and relative poverty. Relative poverty is less severe than absolute poverty or extreme poverty. Imagine that all your neighbors are rich and they have a nice car and nice house. However, you, even though you have a job, you just have a normal house and normal car. In that situation, you will feel, I am poorer than them. So we call this situation relative poverty. On the other hand, people in absolute poverty eat less food than they require. So they are getting thin and they are getting unhealthy. And World Bank defines the extreme poverty, the severest form of poverty, as living on less $1 per day. And by this criteria, on the earth, 1.1 billion people are stuck in this great poverty. Yeah. So let me tell you a story. If you have watched about films about poverty in Africa, you will know how serious poverty is. According to a survey by WHO, the World Health Organization, 1/3 of deaths on the earth are due to poverty-related causes. And every year, nearly 11 million children living in poverty die before their 5th birthday. So I remember when I watched the program about volunteering, the volunteers go to some undeveloped countries and they built schools for children. And the big easy smile of children are still in my mind. So I'll do quick surveys. How many of you have experiences to donate money to the poor? And how many of you have experiences to volunteer? And how many of you have knew the difference between absolute poverty and relative poverty? Yeah. Everybody knows poverty is really serious problem, but they don't know exactly. So how can we make a difference? So today I'm here to show you how we can solve this severe form of problem. First, education. It is really good to provide them with shelter and food closest. But it is not a real answer. Because they can get on money regularly, they will become poor again. So the answer is they have to get a job. And what is most needed for having a job? It's your education. So if we educate them, or if we build schools for poor children, they can break the succession of poverty. And second, healthcare system. As I told you before, 11 million children die because of poverty. And they could be alive if hospital had been there. And some disease such as AIDS and malaria prevents those poor countries from getting away from poverty. So if we help them to improve their healthcare system, they can make a living by themselves. And third is fair trade. As you know, some developed countries are taking natural resources or using their labor for cheap prices because poor countries are weaker than developed countries. So if we implement fair trade, which advocate the payment of fair prices, they can earn reasonable wage. And so they can buy their house and their clothes, their food by themselves. So they won't depend on other countries anymore. Let's imagine the situation. Let's imagine the world without poverty. They could buy both a house and a car. And nobody would die due to disease or difficult situation coming from poverty. And it is senseless. Should nobody abandon their dream merely over financial station? So how can you make a difference? Just visit worldbank.org and find ways to help them right now. Maybe you haven't seen the situation, you haven't seen the poor people before. Maybe you haven't experienced the same situation before. Maybe you haven't cried because of poverty. However, you should know there are lots of poor people who are dying from poverty and they are waiting for your help. Thank you.